Oh yeah,
Wow.
that was awesome.
God, you're great.
Come on, you too, you too.
And these drums sound fantastic. Thank you for
Thank you. Of
getting
course.
them all set up this way.
Glad you liked them. It's very Alan Myers, very pow wow wow with
Yeah.
the timbale and everything.
Yeah, that's kind of like when I first started playing. Clem Burke, Dave Barbarossa,
Right.
Topper Hedden.
Yeah.
But the timbale was always something that I always liked. You know what's funny? Talking after drumming.
Are you out of breath?
I'm okay.
Right.
But, it's that sort of whatever
Right.
that's called.
Okay, we can do percussive talk just to as a perfect transition.
Yeah, that's right. But that tempo, that beat is something I always like. There's XTC, there's a song, Making Plans for Nigel, that has that kind of...
Oh yeah,
that
exactly.
sort of...
It's the new wavy police-ish
yeah.
sort of 80s, early 80s new wave kind of vibes.
Yeah, the kick drum just going all the way through.
Totally.
And I always assumed that like the rest of music would always be that kick drum going all the way through.
Right.
But of course things changed
Yeah.
and got like a little more complex and funkier and stuff. But
Right.
because I was a teenager when that happened, I thought, oh, that's the only thing that kick drum does is
Hey, 4 on the floor.
yeah.
It always works in every tempo.
Yes. I mean,
I mean, 4
good
on the
for
floor.
dancing.
Literally, it works like this,
Yeah.
and it works like this, and it works like. You can't go wrong with 4 on
You
the floor.
can't go wrong.
Seriously, yeah.
It always makes things. Yeah. It always draws me in
Yeah.
to something. I always want to hear it more.
And not easy to play.
yeah.
It's one thing I'm allergic to as a drummer when I hear other drummers play 4 on the floor and they flam on the 2 and 4. Like.
I can't do it.
It's cringeworthy.
I
It really
can't
just
do
gives
it.
me like weird spastic
Yeah.
reaction.
Do some people? I guess there's once in a while there is that sort of not the sort of on the 1 and 3 that I don't like it as much, but it may as well go.
Oh yeah. I do love that. I like that. That's kind of the money beat.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that one. To me, it's like walking. And then 4 on the floor is more like, I don't know. It feels like kicking
Yeah.
more. It feels more like kicking a soccer ball or something to me. 4 on the floor is like constant kicking. It's like hopping on one leg.
Yeah. It's reliable.
Whereas this is very sort of balanced. Kind of like a pendulum.
Yeah.
It feels like that to me.
I feel like Talking Heads did a little bit of that. There was
Oh yeah. What was his name, the drummer?
Chris France.
Yes, Chris France. I loved, of course, like Burning Down the House and stuff like that. Concert
Yeah.
toms.
Yes.
It's all about the concert toms. That whole song is.
yeah.
It's so cool.
All the way through.
All the way through.
Yeah.
And it becomes a real sort of feature and part of the composition at that point. Not
Yeah.
just sort of a drum part, but it's so dominant.
Yeah, it's like kind of the main in my book, like the
Right.
main instrument.
Yeah.
It's funny. One time when I drummed with you, and we were in this room, something that had never occurred to me. You were telling me about concert toms. I think
Yeah.
we had some set up,
Yeah.
and I was just playing them, and then you're like, they're harder to play
Yeah.
because you need more force. It didn't occur to me
Right.
that would be the reason.
Mm-hmm.
But I remembered. I was like, oh yeah, they are really hard to play.
Yeah.
You're always more tired afterwards.
And especially the way I tune them, which is quite low.
Yeah.
If you really crank them sort of Phil Collins style, and Talking Head style, they're really high pitched, kind of timbalito-ish.
yeah.
They're okay to play then, but if you tune them low and thuddy, like 70s type of things, they have zero rebound. It's like playing pillows. But I love the sound, so I always like to compromise comfort for sound.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yes, but I do all the time.
But comfort, if you're uncomfortable for a little while,
Yeah.
okay. But sometimes there's a whole song.
Marathon of discomfort.
Yeah. it's a lot of muscle.
Like the one you just talked about earlier, the Devo
Yeah.
song.
I was talking about a Devo song, and I'm not bragging, but I got to play with Devo. And
Humble brag.
but I'll take it. I'll do a humble brag about it. And it was the most I ever practiced for anything. It's the most that I ever took seriously, just because they're not a jam band where you could do whatever you want and just goof around. It's a little bit like these are the parts.
Oh yeah.
And there's a song called Gates of Steel.
Yeah.
That I just remembered talking to you about, because it seems like a simple beat, but it's relentless.
Let's do it.
It's the well, the beginning's pretty cool. You know, the beginning. That's like the intro, but then the rest of the song is like, and it's pretty fast. This seems easy. Then there's the whole rest of the song.
Yeah.
And yeah,
you have to muscle it out, and obviously the more you do it, the easier it gets. But if you're not used to that kind of stuff, especially because Devo, that's a rock band, really. I mean, it's got a powerful, aggressive drumming style. You have to really kind of muscle that relentless hi-hat.
But how do you economize it? What if you had to do something like that?
Well, there's no way. In order to really sort of express, that amount of aggression and, in the music, you have to muscle it. There's no, like, you use that technique to do it. I mean, you can, but it doesn't sound the same.
Right.
You have to get into that vibe and the aggression. And all you have to do is do it a lot at home. Prepare yourself and just go and muscle it out. Yeah. And just literally practice that. It comes with time. You get used to it. You get stronger. You get faster. You build up the calluses, because that's another thing. If you're not used to it, it can really hurt your fingers and skin,
Well, luckily we had done a lot of rehearsing.
Right.
That was one instance of, like, I'm so glad we rehearsed a lot.
Yeah.
They really wanted to do it that way, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
But that's I can't believe I'm using the word gig, but I'm going to call it a gig. That's one gig that I chose not to enjoy myself.
You chose not to?
Meaning, like, I wanted to focus on, let me get this right, and then after I can have fun and look back and enjoy it. But
so you took it seriously?
I took it really seriously, just because I didn't invent those drum parts.
Right.
So all I could do was serve
and pay homage.
Yeah.
And do it justice. Yeah.
But the good thing was, it was all great, is that the crowd kind of dresses up like Devo.
Right.
They've all got hats and.
Did you wear the hat?
Yep.
Okay.
It's for a couple songs.
Did you wear the
oh
weird,
yeah. All that stuff. Yeah. Which is it's great because it makes everything uniform.
Of course.
You sort of blend in with the band.
Yeah.
But because the crowd kind of dressed like that, that's what made it like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
That, the love is already there.
Yeah. I want to talk about why the timbale, and give me some of your influences. I know Alan Myers, Dave Barbarossa, you mentioned, Stuart Copeland, and
Clem Burke from
Clem
Blondie.
Burke, of course. Yeah. Clem didn't have a timbale, though.
He did not have a timbale, but he did set up his drums very flat. As pretentious as it sounds, it was also Tito Puente as well, and Sheila E. Like, in early new wave bands like Liquid and stuff, I don't know what happened, but there was just a lot of timbale.
That's true. In the 80s in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of some drummers would have it sort of here on the side.
Exactly.
Larry Mullen might have had a timbale.
He did, absolutely.
Yeah. And I just like that.
Do you know Steve Winwood, that Higher Love song?
Yeah.
With the timbale thing in the beginning. It's just all over the 80s. There's timbale fills. And
as much as synthesizer, And it's such a beautiful looking instrument.
It is.
There's something about it that, like, it looks so
because
symmetric.
It's like a concert, Tom. It's open on the bottom.
Yes.
That's one of the things that I find super sexy in a drum set.
Yeah.
When you just got one head only and you can see inside the shell from down in the audience. That's cool.
And the sound of it just resonates. Yeah. I mean, it really, that high pitched.
Can you give us some samples, please?
So just that.
Oh yeah.
Right away, I'm barely doing anything. I'm really,
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So it was really Bow Wow Wow that, when I saw them, it was just copying them. I liked that instead of a rack tom. So when I was in a band in the 90s. Trenchmouth. So instead of a rack tom, I would just have a timbale. Yeah. And it was just, I lead with my left for fills and stuff.
Ringo style?
Ringo style. Did Keith Moon lead with his left?
I don't know.
But so for beats and stuff, it was just like a good alternative to.
Oh, sure. That's cool.
That kind of thing.
But there you're leading with the right.
No, I'm meaning 1, 2.
Okay. I see. You are leading with the left, yeah.
And it's just like a good, I'm going to call it a gimmick. It's like a good little distraction.
Cool. Yes.
And it's like a good ending to things without it being a symbol. So instead of like, psh, it's just like, I like hearing this.
Plang.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Sheila E. did it on You Got the Look.
Yeah.
The
yes,
Prince
that's
song,
right.
yeah.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like a... Dun, dun.
Yes.
Oh, it's the cowbell. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That, by the way, Sheila E., it's amazing. Like, she was a pop star.
Yeah.
You know, hit singles.
But serious musician.
Serious musician, but she was up front with timbales.
Yeah.
And I just haven't seen it since. I haven't seen, like, where's our timbale, our next timbale person?
Absolutely. You're totally
They
right.
might be out there, but I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping for, because I loved Tito Puente so much.
I mean, the closest to Tito Puente, you know, and her dad is Sheila. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know anybody else who does that actually
Zero.
these days.
Zero.
Nobody.
But anyone watching this, I'm sure there's a flood of like, well, actually, there's so and so in London,
probably.
and
We probably just don't know.
We just don't
We're
know.
ignorant.
But but still championing the sound of the timbale, and it stayed with me. So when I've played on like late night with Seth Meyers and stuff, I don't do it as much anymore, but I had a timbale there.
Yeah.
But I just think it looks great.
Yeah.
Too.
What are your? Can you give me some of your favorite grooves from the '80s? Just like you did that Sheila groove from. You got to look.
That's an easy answer. Easy answer.
Okay.
And I hadn't thought about this before I came here. There's a groove from this band OMD.
Okay. Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's this song Enola Gay.
Yes.
And it starts with a drum machine.
Yeah.
And then the beat's like. I love it. I love it. Love that one. And it's
cool.
Like,
that is really cool.
The song just goes. Just because, like, I feel like the '80s had this thing where I feel like the '70s was about fills. In the '80s, it was like they incorporated toms and as a pattern.
Exactly.
Which was
I made an album a couple of years ago called Prog Pop, and the concept of the album was to recreate and reverse engineer '80s drum programming, but play it live on the drum set. So it's all these layered parts, and everything is a composed pattern, and the patterns change from section to section in the song. And it's a real composition within the composition of the song, if you know what I mean. And all the parts are really recognizable. And I totally missed out about today's drum parts and playing. I have parts that go like, for example, 3, 4. That's one pattern. You know, and
wait, what's the snare sound I heard? No, there was what's that?
Foot snare. Can you go to the feet, guys?
I can't see it from here.
Yeah, it's a little foot snare.
See,
to my left.
Let everyone out there know that this is how they make me look like a worse drummer. Is they give him a little snare. I don't have a snare thing here. And that's unfair.
I have a secret weapon, which is also my gong drum.
Oh, I love that
all I have to
thing.
do is go, boom, and enough said.
Enough said.
Statement made. You know.
It is hidden. It's weird.
It's kind
a
of
big
tucked
drum,
away.
but it is sort of
Exactly.
You just put a coffee cup on there,
Yeah, exactly.
and no one will know.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so you were talking about those
Patterns.
patterns. So what was that? Was that based on something that you'd heard on a machine?
Yes. So in the 80s, I started working in the 80s, and there were keyboard players and producers who would program drum parts, go like super complex hi-hat pattern, and then you would program a kick and snare with their fingers on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Of course, completely ignoring the fact that the drummer only has 2 hands and 2 feet. So you end up with these layers of notes on top of each other that would be impossible to play. So in order to recreate that, you have to supplement hand patterns with foot stuff.
And did you do that?
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's why these grooves on that album were inspired by that. It's kind of complex layers of rhythms on top of each other and played in a very unconventional way, because you have to make it work if you really want to authentically replicate those patterns.
Did you explain that on the album?
No. not like verbally or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, in interviews and stuff after the fact, but that was my plan because I'm a big fan of the 80s and those 80s drum sounds and those organized, arranged, composed drum patterns.
Yeah.
I really love that. It's
like complex and repetitive.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then no matter how complex it is, because of the repetitiveness, it becomes approachable. If you hear it often enough, no matter how complex it is, you're like, okay, I get it. It's starting to groove now.
I don't know if you went through this hearing those songs, but also your brain starts to break down what you're hearing.
Exactly.
Like, what did he do? Did he overdub that hi-hat? No, it sounds like it's in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you do that beat that you just did, but slowly?
Yes, the right foot plays a bayon pattern. And every second time it bridges the bell head. 1, 2, 3, 4. The left foot fills in all the remaining notes on that foot snare. 3, 4. But then I switch the left foot from the snare drum to the cowbell every other time. And then the hand pattern plays a melodic thing on the rototoms like this. And then I add a gong drum. And then I add the snare. And then I add another cowbell.
That's worth the price of admission. I would go pay to see a show where you explain that and then just watch you do that.
Right.
That,
okay.
That's
I
why
should come up with a show like
that.
Look at me and my complicated drum patterns.
Yeah, but it's not just that it's because it's also it's
musical. What the plan was every song was supposed to have a drum pattern that's recognizable.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the 80s and some earlier stuff, the Beatles. If you hear, you know what, or you know what song that is.
Yeah.
And that I always love that when you hear a drum intro, a drum groove, and you know exactly what song that is. And that's missing from today's music a lot, I think.
I agree. It's really weird hearing. Sometimes I'll listen to Ringo, and then sometimes I do try to. Some of it is an odd timing.
Yeah.
There is some like 7/4 and 5/4 in there that I'm like.
In a lot of Beatles songs, there's odd signatures.
And he doesn't like show off about it. He's not
right.
like, here's the 7/4.
Right.
All of a sudden you're like, he goes into it so musically.
Yeah.
And in such a like beautiful like you hear the actual drum in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very subtle and a very song friendly drummer. Very sort of subtle and in the background, but very supportive. Yeah.
Like, what would I have done? Like, Here Comes the Sun. Dun, 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 dun.
Yes.
I think I would have been confused if George was explaining that to me. We know the song now, but I'd be like, why don't we just keep it at 4/4?
But then again,
that's the beauty
of the song. If you don't overthink it, and if you don't think like a educated musician and about odd signatures, and just follow the music and the riff naturally, then that's
totally
how you come
agreed.
up with. You just listen to the song, go, oh, that's the part. I don't care if it's in 3 or 5. I'll just play whatever notes you're playing. I'll follow on the drum song.
Don't even think about it.
Exactly.